Okay, so we have quadratic functions. A quadratic function would be in this form right here. F of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay? Now, you guys have learned about quadratics all year long. What makes this a quadratic? The x squared, right? Okay? And then we've learned about quadratic equations. Usually when we talk about quadratic equations, we're talking about something in this form right here. What is the difference between those two things? I want everybody to tell your shoulder partner, what is the difference between a quadratic function and a quadratic equation? All you have to do is look at it and be able to tell what the difference is. Okay, tell your partner. I'm going to give you 15 seconds. Tell her, Austin. Austin, you tell her. I want to verbalize it. Not me. Don't tell me. You got to turn to her and tell her. All right. Okay. All right. Lexi, what's the difference between these two? One has O. That's a 0. That's a 0. Okay, that's a 0 right there. Okay? Now, so a quadratic function, we write f of x. Well, a quadratic equation, we put a 0 there because what we are looking for is the zeros of the function. Okay, so I want you to write this down. What are we trying to find? When we solve this equation? Okay, what are we trying to find when we solve this equation? We are trying to find the zeros. We're trying to find the zeros. Well, what are zeros? What? Yeah, on the graph. Wait, by the way, what shape does a quadratic function make? Okay, okay. The graph is a parabola. The zeros are what? Say that really loud, Alex. The x coordinates. Wait, what are you? I can't hear you. The x. There you go. The x-intercepts. Okay. So we are looking for, okay, the zeros. Everybody write this down. The zeros are the x-intercepts. Okay, that's what they are. Okay, now, if you think about that, the zeros are the x-intercepts. And we've practiced finding those before, haven't we? Okay. Well, let me ask you another question as you're finished. I'm going to let you finish writing this down. But is it possible that a parabola has no x-intercepts? I want everybody to draw an x and y coordinate on your x and y axes, x and y axes on your paper, and then I want you to draw a picture of a parabola that has no x-intercepts and show it to your shoulder partner. Okay, one more time. Draw the x and y axes, Stephanie. Draw the x and y axes and draw a parabola that doesn't cross the x-axis. Okay, show it to your shoulder partner. All right. Does this work? No, because this one crosses twice, right? Okay, so this one crosses the x-axis twice. Okay? What about this one? Does this one work? X-axis is this axis right here. Right? You guys, on all of these, this is the x, this is the y. X, y, x, y, x, and y. Okay? How many times does this one cross the x-axis? We say once. Okay? It touches the x-axis, okay? Touches the x-axis once. We could use the word intersect in all these, okay? There's one more possibility, and that possibility is this. What's happening here, you guys? Okay. Does not cross the x-axis. This one does not cross the x-axis, okay? Now, what we're going to learn about, you know what? I think we're going to do these next time. Okay, these do not cross the x-axis. What I'm going to teach you guys today is this right here. I shouldn't have drawn four of those, but this one does not cross. You guys, here's another one that does not cross, because some of these can open down and they never cross the x-axis. Does that make sense? All right, now, today, you guys, well, we have learned a few ways to solve quadratic equations. One way, everybody write this down. 4 ways to solve quadratic equations. Okay, number one way is to graph it and locate the x-intercepts. Well, I'm just trying to put it all together, okay, because we've had a scattering of concepts. I'm just trying to put it all together. Number 2 is we learned how to solve by factoring. Did you know that there's a problem with these two methods? You know what the problem with these two methods are? Stephanie, come sit in the seat right here today. Just bring all your stuff right now. Come sit right there, because I said. No, it's too late. Come sit right there. Okay, number 3. Okay, number 3 way is to solve by completing the square. Number 4 is to solve using the quadratic formula. No, we're not finding the vertex in this. There's a method we can use by completing the square, okay? And there's actually, you know what? I'm going to add one more way. Everybody erase the 4 and put a 5 right there. Because certain kinds of quadratic equations can just be solved using, I mean, I'm not sure that has a name, but just by getting x by itself. That only happens when the linear term is 0. Okay, now, so those are the 5 ways. Now, here's the problem, okay? There's a problem with number 1. Number 1, it's not exact. Okay? The problem with doing it by graphing is it's not always exact. The problem with solving by factoring is it's not always possible to solve by factoring. Okay? Not all functions are factorable. Okay? By the way, factoring is the fastest way to solve a quadratic equation if it is factorable, but not all of them are factorable. Number 3. This way is to solve by completing the square. This one is long and tedious. So we don't usually like to use this one. Okay? Oh, by the way, the other problem with number 1 is it's not always possible either. Not always possible. The reason why is because not all parabolas cross the x-axis. So it's not, you can't find the answer by graphing. Okay, number 4 can always be used no matter what. Can always be used no matter what. That probably doesn't make sense no matter what, but you guys all know what I mean, right? And the 5th way, not always possible. Okay, so what we are going to do, you guys, is this is what we're going to be doing right here. I'm going to show you these 2 methods right here. After I show you the completing the square method, the only reason I'm going to show you the completing the square method is because I want to show you how to solve using the quadratic formula. Okay? And so we are going to create an equation and solve it using the quadratic formula. Okay, that is kind of the gist of what we're doing. Do we have that? Okay, now, I want everybody to write this down. ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And we're going to complete the square on this. Okay? We're going to derive the quadratic formula. So everybody write this down. Derive the quadratic formula. If you want to know where formulas come from, here's an example of how we get a formula right here. Because I always get asked, all students say, well, where did formulas come from? Well, they came by proving that something was true based on a general form. This is general form of a quadratic equation. And so we're going to complete the square. We're going to try and get x by itself. Okay? Everybody got that? We're going to try and get x by itself. So, here we go. First thing we are going to do is we are going to factor, we're going to have a group, ax squared plus bx. And we are going to factor out an a. So we get x squared plus b over a x. Plus, we're going to leave a gap right there, equals c. Well, do you remember in completing the square when we're putting in vertex form? We had to, oh, you know what? I never showed you guys this method. Remember I showed you negative b over 2a instead? And so I'm going to show you, this just follow along. I'm just going to kind of show you what we're doing on it. Okay? Now, what we have to do is complete the square. You guys remember completing the square, we take half of the middle term. What's 1/2 of b over a? Well, it's b over 2a, right? Because you'd go 1/2 times b over a. And then we square that. If I square that, that's equal to b squared over 4a squared. Because I have to square each part. The b is, I don't know what it is, so I just put b squared. The 2 I square and I get 4. And then a I square and I get a squared. So what we're going to do is we're going to put b squared over 4a squared. And if I do that, I have to compensate for it out here. I have to minus that. Except for, see this a? That number right there has to really be times by a. And if I times a times b squared over 4a squared, guess what cancels out right here, you guys? What cancels out? The a's cancel out. That's right. That a cancels out with one of those. And so I am left with, yeah, b squared over 4a. Hold up. What's your question? A squared means a times a, right? And I have an a on the top. So one of those a's on the top cancels with one on the bottom. Got it? Okay, I'm going to erase this part down here now. Okay, now, what we're going to do right here is this right here is a perfect square trinomial. Okay? That right there is a perfect square trinomial. It's just the square root of that, which is the square root of b squared is b, the square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of a squared is a. And so this whole thing right here, you guys, factors to be a plus b over 2a equals c minus b squared over 4a. Now, hold on. I forgot, you guys, this equal sign right here is still supposed to be this plus sign. And I put equals 0 out here. Okay? So this should be plus c equals 0 out here. Okay, now. Oh, by the way, this is ax. A times AX plus B over 2A squared plus C minus B squared over 4A. Now we have to get a common denominator here. If I'm going to add C to B squared over 4A, I've got to have 4A as my common denominator. So I've got to times the top and bottom of that by 4A. So if I times C by 4A, I am going to get 4AC all over 4A minus B squared equals 0. Now, I am going to get all this stuff to the other side. And if I do that, I'm just going to subtract it, right? So I'm going to go like this. I'm going to subtract this all the other side. And that negative B squared is going to become a positive B squared. And that positive 4AC is going to be negative 4AC all over 4A. Just switches the signs of those. And then I've got to divide both sides. I'm going to times both sides by 1 over A. And those are going to cancel out. And I'm going to get AX plus B over 2A squared equals B squared minus 4AC all over 4A squared. Because I times the bottom by A. Okay, guess what I'm going to do next, you guys? Trying to get X by itself. I got to get rid of that 2 right there. How am I going to do that? Square root both sides. So everybody, you're going to square root both sides. And you're going to get AX plus B over 2A equals plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over the square root of 4A squared, which is 2A. Whenever you take the square root of both sides, you have to do plus and minus on that side, on that right side, the one without the A squared. And then all you have to do is get X by itself. You're going to minus B over 2A to both sides. And if you do that, you're going to get AX equals negative B over 2A plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over the 2A right there. And then you have one last step to get X by itself. What's that last step? Yeah, divide by A, which is the same thing as timesing by 1 over A. And those cancel out, and you get X equals negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC Oh, you know what? I made a mistake back here. I made a mistake because you know what? When I factored that, that A shouldn't be there. So guess what? We're already solved right there. All over 2A. And we're done. Do you have to know this? That's a good question. All right. How many of you think you understood what we did? Kind of. How many of you kind of understood what we did? All right. Let me tell you. Now, see all these right here? I left my A in there, and I should have been out of there. Okay? Anyway, you guys, the answer to that is no. You don't need to You don't need to remember all that. What you need to remember is this formula. In fact, not only do you have to remember it, you got to memorize it. And so we're gonna learn a song right now. All right. How many of you guys know Pop Goes the Weasel? Okay, Shania, would you mind singing it for us? I don't know the words to it, but I know the tune. How many of you guys know the tune? Hey, everybody, listen. This is a quadratic equation, right? Sorry. This is a quadratic formula. I wrote that wrong. I'm not. This is a quadratic formula. You have to memorize this. I'm going to sing the song once. I'm going to turn off the thing while I do it because I don't want to be. Set. No. Okay, it's off. All right. Ready? 1, 2, ready, sing. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Sing. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. One more time. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, ready, go.
X equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a.
Thank you. You can show your mom and dad that when you get home. Okay, listen to Stephanie, please. Got to sing it good and loud. Good and loud. All. One more time. You got to sing it louder this time, okay? Okay. 1, 2, ready. Okay, Raiden's going to sing with you. All right. Good and loud, okay? Wait, you got to be quiet. Shh. Okay, go.
X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a.
Good. I forgot to have that on. We are doing a practice problem, putting a, b, and c in to the quadratic formula. Okay, now. Whoops. Okay, so now there's our quadratic formula. This is it right here. We got to simplify it. So we have 6 plus or minus. We've got the times negative 4 times 2 times negative 5 together. What do you get when you do that? Everybody do this right now. So you guys don't make mistakes. This is what I want you to do. Everybody get to pick up your calculator. If you don't have one, go run over there and grab one. Hurry. Everybody type in without the square root. Type in 36 minus 4 times 2 times a negative 5. And tell me what you get. 76. So everybody put 76 right here. All divided by 2 times 2, which is 4. Got it? Now, we are not done because we need to see if we can simplify whatever's inside the square root. So everybody do this. Everybody take 76, and let's break it down into two numbers you can times together and get 76. We know that 76 is an even number, so what number goes into it for sure? So everybody go 76 divided by 2. What do you get? 38. So everybody go 2 times 38. Now, we know that 38 is an even number, so we know that 2 goes into it. How many times does 2 go into 38? 19 times, right? So we have 2 times 19. Now, we know that 2 is a prime number. We know that this 2 is a prime number, and 19 is also a prime number. So guess what? We've broken it down into its prime factors. Now, do you guys know how to simplify square roots from the first of the year? If I have a pair of 2's and one loner, what does that break down to? 2 square root of 19. Remember, you take one of the pairs and you put it in front of the square root, and the loners you times together and put back inside. So square root of 76 breaks down to 2 times the square root of 19. So we are going to finish this problem right here. Here's our answer, our final answer. Actually, it won't be our final answer because we'll have something else. The square root of 76 turns into 2 square root of 19, right? Now, here's the deal with this. Each term in the numerator has a factor of 2, and the term in the bottom has a factor of 2. So I can divide 2 into all 3 of these numbers right here. What happens when I divide 2 into 6, you guys? What do you get? 3. What happens when you divide 2 into 2? What do you get? 1. So it's 1 times the square root of 19. We're just going to write it as the square root of 19. What happens when you divide 2 into 4? You get 2. And so my answer is right here. That's how you use the quadratic formula. How many of you think you can do that now by yourself? We're going to find out right here. Everybody, I want you to solve using the quadratic formula. Here we go. We're going to go 3. No, let's do it easy than that. Everybody, we're going to go 2x squared minus 12x minus 7. Okay, I want everybody to solve that quadratic equation using the quadratic formula. All right, those of you guys, this is how you do it. In case you tried it, let's see if you got it right, okay? So I know that A is 2, B is negative 12. Everybody sit down. C is negative 7. Okay? Lexi, you're going to need your calculator right here. Take it with you. Okay, here we go. We have x equals negative b. Well, the opposite of negative 12 is positive 12. Plus or minus the square root of b squared. Well, b squared is negative 12 times negative 12, which is a positive 144. Remember, this number is always going to be positive. Minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is a negative 7. All over 2 times 2, which is 4. Now, I'm going to put in my calculator 144 minus 4 times 2 times negative 7. Everybody put that in your calculator for me. Tell me what you get.
So could you do all that?
Yeah, it's exactly 200, isn't it? I just did it in my head. All over 4. Now, I have to take the 200 and simplify it. I know that 2 times 100 is 200. And I know that 100 is 10 times 10. And I'm not going to break it down any further than that because that's a pair. And that's all I'm looking for. I know 10 is not a prime number, you guys. But 10 times 10 is a perfect square. And so I know that this is going to be break down to 10 times the square root of 2. So I have x equals plus or minus 10 times, x equals 12 plus or minus 10 times the square root of 2 all over 4. And I know that 2 will go into 12, 10, and 4. So 2 will go into 12 6 times. It will go into 10 5 times. And it will go into 4 twice. And that right there, you guys, is my answer. I have one homework assignment for all of you. Your homework assignment is to solve this problem right here. That is your homework assignment tonight, you guys, is to solve this equation right here. If you need to look at the video, it should be nice and clear.